it must be 12 o'clock. My alarm's going off. Welcome to Calling Out with Susan Pinsky. I'm Susan Pinsky, and today's episode is courtesy of Native Path Hydrate. Our hearts and our minds go out to all the victims of the plane crashes this week and the Black Hawk pilots. We are all heavy in heart over this kind of an experience, and we're going to be discussing today how these things happen and how we deal with this in the aftermath of some kind of tragedy as we've had. It's been a very busy week in the White House. We've seen a lot of things going on. We had news last Saturday, or Sunday actually, Sunday morning, about a passenger plane that was collided with a Black Hawk helicopter in DC. We were given as much information as we could find on the legacy news channels, researched it, and we were not totally satisfied with some of the information that we were given. We've noticed a lot of things that may have happened but haven't been mentioned, and we're looking for answers. And so I'm here today with two psychic mediums. One, Andrew Anderson from Chicago area. He is a psychic clairvoyant medium, and he's going to join us today to give us his take on this psychically. And also I'm here with Eddie Connor, and he will be following up after this segment. Our guest for the day is Zach Vorhies. He is he's better known as the Google whistleblower. He has a lot on his mind about this and what he believes, how the media works, how this plane crash happened, how this helicopter pilot was scrubbed. Her information was scrubbed from the internet over days, a few days before we knew who she was, and also just how this stuff works in the media. He is also in a ski resort right now. So anyways, he's pulling a Steve Kirsch on me. But you know what? God bless you. God bless you. Anyway, so it's really interesting for me because I sort of glommed onto this topic because my daughter was a USFSA figure skater, and the victims on the plane were predominantly from the U.S. Figure Skating Association. They were coming back from nationals, which I've seen many of. I spent 15 years in that sport with my daughter. I was just so devastated to hear that 28 young people and their families had perished, and we just, in an unacceptable way. For me, this shouldn't happen. This is an accident, or it's a tragedy, or it's just done by human error. But the safety of Americans comes first. And we need to be really aware of the fact that these are all VIPs, victims of a horrible plane crash. And we want to just tell everybody that our hearts and minds go out to your families. It must be tragic. So we're not trying to make light of this. We're not trying to dig up something before it's too soon. Sometimes people say it's too soon, but my friend Andrew Anderson reached out to me on Sunday and said, I believe that there's something going on with this plane crash. And when somebody does that to me, we're all kind of devastated and wondering what's going on. He reached out and he mentioned a couple of things, and I said, well, don't watch the news, whatever you do. Because we don't know really what's going on. But I want to just lead in with Andrew, what his feelings were and what happened to him on that Sunday of last weekend.
Yeah, this again, this disgusts me. We're supposed to. It's just getting so predictable. News is supposed to be something we don't know, right? But these things are happening, and there's way more to the story. And the first thing, unfortunately, as a psychic, that comes to mind when I look at the Black Hawk helicopter tragedy, casualties of war. And now for that to come up to me, that means that somebody intended, or there was some intention here, something planned, plotted, somebody wanted someone or something gone. And they just dismissed the lives like that. One thing I really want to talk to your viewers about, because I've been hearing certainly more than a couple times in the last week since this happened, is why did God take these children? People have to know God did not take these kids. God it welcomed them into heaven. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there's an active war of good and evil that goes on every day. And there's going to be casualties like this. And it's sad. The why is the most difficult thing in trying to, we can't claim to understand God to begin with. But the fact that I saw casualties of war, Susan, is very disturbing to me. I felt like the guy on the plane, on the helicopter, didn't have a reason to live or felt suicidal. Feels like whoever they are felt that person could be manipulated in some way. That I heard, I didn't watch the news like you suggested, but what I did hear something about the helicopter thing. And what I heard was there was 3 messages to that helicopter to come back to base. Each one of them was ignored. Why? Right? You don't do that if you're in the Army. I'm not a military man, but that's the respect level that you have for your command is, right? It's ingrained in you from boot camp. You don't just disregard or disobey an order. I don't know if I'm wrong about that. Is that something you've heard too?
Well, let's really quickly, where did you get that information?
I don't know. I just heard it randomly online somewhere. I don't know, maybe Instagram.
Okay.
I don't know.
So there was a report of that. I want to make sure that was the right helicopter that was being called back. They called it the Blackjack, and I'm not sure if that was what this helicopter was called. But there were a couple of attempts where the ATC, Air Traffic Control, had asked them if they saw the plane that was heading towards them, the CRJ. They mentioned it twice, and they responded, yes, we've got clearance, or we have, I don't know what they call it. There's a distance that has to be between like the helicopter and the plane. Apparently, the Cat 25 was within the 200 feet range, above the 200 feet range, and the plane was at like 350 or something. So they weren't clear of it. But there was no movement in the helicopter. These are helicopters that can stop, go sideways, go backwards, move out of the way immediately. There was no movement. And so, yeah. And what you did mention to me in the text that you sent me, that you thought maybe it was a trans person. And there was something in the news about a trans person flying it, but we did find that person alive. And they waited 3 days to let us know, except for I was listening to Fox
News.
The one
that connected to the flight, though. Okay.
There was, no, it was a woman, but they were saying she on the news. They weren't mentioning who she was. And they waited like 3 days to do that because they basically had to go out and scrub their social media, which I assumed was going to happen during that period of time. But they were hiding it because she was part of LGBTQ and potentially DEI hire, and they're trying to blame the ATC for their DEI hires, and this is all starting to swirl around, like all these ideas of how somebody with 500 hours of flight time could end up in this heavily trafficked plane area in DC, flying a Black Hawk helicopter, and then having 2 very well seasoned military people with lots of hours sitting next to her. So 2 men, 1 woman, whatever she was. But you did mention to me, and I said, don't watch the news, just see what else comes to you. So what else came to you besides that? Well,
the casualties of war was very disturbing. It feels like maybe there was somebody that a group of people would benefit from not being around. So that's how it felt with the Washington thing. Now the Pennsylvania incident, immediately I felt somebody on board had some information, a whistleblower of sorts, like Zachary. But I felt a whistleblower potentially on board with something to do with human trafficking. There was discussions of this. somebody on that helicopter or plane, I'm sorry, that was intentional as well, and they were taken, and they were killed.
Here's a picture of the young people that were on board the flight 5342 American Airlines.
This. Oh
yes, they were young individuals. Some of them were highly skilled athletes, and their parents, and there was a gold medal Russian pair team that were their coaches also on board. And so, this is like
everybody. The only people on the plane were associated with the figure skating. There's someone else.
No,
there's something else. Right?
Half of them. Half of them. There was some. They have retrieved most of the bodies now from the airplane, but they have not retrieved the bodies from the helicopter as of yet. Anyways, the second flight that crashed, seemed really coincidental, right on the heels of this. But we'll move on to that next. But I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to bring in Zach Vorhies, who is a rationally minded human being who sees things as they are in the real world. He's also very well versed in what's hidden in the media, and also he's the author of Google Leaks. He is also, I've known him for a while. I met him at a libertarian whistleblowing thing back in the day during the pandemic, and we became friends, and he's been on Ask Dr. Drew's show a couple of times. But anyways, and you can find him at Zach Vorhies. Zach, when this event happened, I saw that you made a tweet. You were on a show mentioning what your thoughts were about this. Uh-oh, no sound.
You guys
unmute yourself,
muted
sweetie.
me. You guys muted me, and I just unmuted me. Okay, so by the way, my apologies for being on the mountain. In my defense, the calendar invite for the show was for next week, but we're gonna roll with it anyways. Earlier this week, we had a viral tweet. I was on Project Disclosure, something like that, Jay's show, and he asked me what my thoughts were. And look, when these accidents happen, they're kind of like crack for me. I'm very obsessed, and I've gotten down enough of these where I've noticed a certain pattern. And with this Black Hawk helicopter crash, I just noticed the exact same pattern playing out. I'm like, oh, all right, here we go again. And here's what the pattern was. I personally do not believe that the Black Hawk helicopter was actually flown by anyone. The reason why I believe that is because some video got leaked. The person who leaked the video got arrested for computer transgression or trespass. I think it was called trespass. But this video was not supposed to come out. And what was really damning about this video is that it's very clear that this was not an FFA mess up. All right. That helicopter clearly, intentionally rammed into that airplane. And I've seen it over and over and over again. It's very clear. They see it right in front of them now. Like, I don't know what kind of pilot would just follow FAA, directives directly into, colliding with another plane. So what that looks like is it looks like intentional. If it's intentional, then it's done by the deep state. And if it's done by the deep state, then they're not going to sacrifice one of their own pilots. They're just going to drone hit it with a Black Hawk. And then they're going to cover it up with a bunch of mixed signals, right? So what do we see after this? We saw a lot of false intel, like, oh, it was a trans pilot. Oh, actually, it wasn't a trans pilot. It was a lesbian pilot, right? Oh, but they've scrubbed her social media. But the thing is that no one's ever kind of come out and actually said that they actually know this person. So I just think that all of this information is fake, and there was no pilot, and that the reason why this Black Hawk crashed into this airplane was because the deep state was interested in killing somebody on board. Now, they've let us know that it's a bunch of figure skaters. That is possible that they just did this because they're purely evil, but I don't think that these elites are that evil where they would just do that. I think that there's some foreign national, some billionaire, some spy, somebody that was standing in their way of power, and so they decided to
coming from
take them
Wichita.
out. Maybe. We don't know because they're not releasing the flight manifest, right?
Right, of course. We don't get that.
Right. They gave us an initial disclosure of, oh, here's the 23, different people. And so when I was interviewed, I said, everyone pay attention to the manifest, right? And that became viral as a 2.1 million views. And so later on that day, this was the amazing part, is that the government, NTSB, gave an interview. And in this interview, they said that specifically they called out the flight manifest. They said, we are not going to release the flight manifest. And it's actually against the law for us to release this manifest. And what else about this? Oh, yeah, that such a manifest, if they had it, would be immune to any Freedom of Information Acts. Now, that's a very interesting thing to bring up. Like, why is it so important that they don't release the manifests? Because, and this is my thinking and speculation, they don't really want us to know who it was exactly that they were targeting on this for assassination.
Right. And also, there was one other little glitch. There was another flight that was supposed to land at that very minute, but they changed it out to this flight. So there was another flight that was supposed to land that the ATC moved out of order, and it ended up being this plane. What if it was aiming at that plane? And what you said about the remote control, the backdoor remote control technology to ensure the tragic helicopter airline crash, I sent that to my buddy, Captain Dan Hanley, and he gave me a thumbs up on that one. So, I didn't ask him to be on the show, but very important to know that they have not recovered the 3 bodies of the pilots that were supposed to be on that plane, which I just realized recently because it's been about a week. We're moving in on the first week. And I was like, well, why don't we have the bodies? Did it just explode and they're in little bits and pieces? Or were they really on the plane? Because the other thing was when they asked the helicopter to tell them whether or not they saw the AA flight coming at them, it was a man's voice that said yes. There was no woman's voice in there. I did not hear Rebecca Lorbach's voice. I did not, it was one other person. So, which made me kind of wonder, was she really on the plane? And if she is CIA and her socials are all scrubbed and she's now in hiding, nobody would know it because she's supposedly dead.
She's supposedly dead. And apparently no friend or family member has come out and said, here's actually like who she was, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's a ghost as far as we know, right? With no connections. And like everyone's really interested in this person. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Like with all the media attention right now on this everyone knows about this Black Hawk. You would think that at least one of her friends would be, media hungry enough that they would come out and they say, sure, I'll take the limelight. Like, blah, 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 blah.
Well, there are things that we do know. We do know there were some pictures of her in the Biden White House, and she was attend a lot of pride events with Israel connections through her family. Father David, who worked at Duke University as Chief Division Clinical Informatics, Associate Consulting Professor connected to the Wuhan Pandemic Advisory Board. Okay, which perked my ears a little bit. I'm like, what is that? So I Googled, what is the Wuhan Advisory Board? There's nothing on the internet about that either, because that's all been scrubbed too. Is that a Fauci-related thing? Perked my ears. Anyways, and I don't know, the person who said this may have been making that shit up, so I don't know for sure. And their mother was connected to a Hollywood producer, but she was a lovely woman. She was in the military, top 20%. She was not a bad person. I'm not saying, anything bad about her. I don't care if she's a lesbian. I don't care if she's a trans. If she can drive a Black Hawk, great, but she fucked up. And if she didn't, if it was all remote control, another story, not sure. But for me, I like to call out the facts that we're really we're being told, that we have to wait and that, until we have the facts, we're not going to give you the facts. And just not telling us who she was for 3 days made me think conspiracy immediately. That's just the way my mind works. It's like, why do we know who the men are, but we don't know who she is? But she is really tightly intermingled with the Biden. She was pro-Biden. She was probably anti-Trump, good possibility. But on the other hand, if she's been disappeared and she's just going to live in a foreign country now, I don't know if that was the case, if she wasn't there. Where are the bodies? I want to know where those are. So anyway, I want Andrew to sort of, now that we've given him a lot of our intuition, I want you to go back to your intuition.
Yeah. I guess we're on the same page. The first thing I got, casualties of war. This was intentional. Somebody was after someone. I haven't looked at this deep enough, like who was on the plane and all that stuff, to come up with an answer of the why or who. And what you suggested about that plane, that other plane, caused me to think about it too. I still feel someone on that helicopter though, and I felt like he was manipulated, very suicidal, and felt like he was doing somebody like a service, a bit like. For whatever reason, we'll see. Maybe it was somebody was on. I could be picking up on that helicopter being flown at some time. It could be something like that. I know for sure there was someone on that helicopter, but I'm not saying that it couldn't have been remote controlled though now. So, but the casualties of war, that means intentional.
Exactly. And that's what I like. We're all feeling that it does feel warlike. It seems like an FU to somebody. But the fact that we're not investigating it and the current administration isn't like saying more about it is basically because these helicopter pilots are the ones that save the president of the United States in a war situation. They're the ones that are trained to go in and pick up Melania and the kids and throw them in a Black Hawk and fly away. So they got
to be the best of the best.
Yeah, but they're also going to have to be Republican now. So another conspiracy theory on my behalf is that if she was indeed on the plane or on the helicopter, and she knew that she wasn't going to be working with the Bidens anymore, or be in the White House, or be a military pilot for much longer because of the changing of the guard. What if she was or as you may say, he was the one who was suicidal?
Yeah. Those are the key things that I picked up. On purpose, suicidal. So with that.
And if you watch the helicopter.
I got an idea. I don't know why I got this idea, but I just had this sort of imagination come to me where there might have been somebody on board as sort of like in the ancient dark times, they would like torture people with very inventive ways to sort of like as a statement of this is how cruel we are. Like, what if somebody needed to be punished, and so they were involuntarily put on a kamikaze drone remoted Black Hawk helicopter, and as a torture thing. You think that's possible?
Oh,
yeah. Who are they torturing?
Everybody else a lesson.
Yeah. So one of their enemies. Hey, this is what happens, and they record the whole thing while the drone. So the last thing that they hear is that person screaming. They have it on record, and then they can send that out as a warning to the enemies.
That would be the air traffic controllers. We did hear them go, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And then all of their jobs flash before their eyes.
And also with what Zachary is saying too, there was other devices associated with the helicopter in particular where I feel like you're spot on. I feel like mechanical things got overridden by something outside of the helicopter's power. And I felt like somebody was on the helicopter, and we can call it MK Ultra, we can call it brainwashing, we can call it you flip the switch. But I feel like you're spot on with something here, Zach, and they needed to send a signal back to keep the other minions in line for whatever was going to be coming up next.
Right.
What
do you think, Andrew?
There's going to be three.
Oh, sorry. Keep on going.
I think that what you're saying may sound very, very, very far-fetched to probably a lot of people in the world, but to me it doesn't. I know that what's much more far-fetched is the coincidence. That's me. And then also the I told Susan, I don't know if you remember, Susan, I was talking to you after the Black Hawk happened, and I said there will be another crash.
Right.
And you asked, am I okay? Because you were flying somewhere from, I don't know where you were, and I said, yeah, but if the crash is coming, you're okay. And then the Philadelphia thing happened, I think the next day.
Yes.
Is that right, Susan?
Yes, there was. Now, I want to I have a comment on Rumble.
What I was trying to say is smoke and mirrors. Okay.
Yeah, like that was definitely, that's how I felt. Like maybe that was planned to take the news away from this particular situation because, we've had a completely, the news is on to the next cycle. But a guy named Jesus C. Rome said that NTSB does not comment that they are there to investigate. I was an intelligence battalion and we had recon aircraft. Let the people do their job. They are there to do what is required to find out. And I totally agree with that. I want them to do their job and understand this once they do get all the information. But it takes a long time. And the fact that it's all getting kind of pushed under the rug, it makes me nervous. It's like, what else is going on and what should we be looking for? Also, Bilbo Bot, and I'm not sure if this is true, because that is a funny name on Rumble, said breaking news, Delta and Japan airline planes collide at Seattle airport. No injuries, thank God.
I'm looking at that now.
So there's a lot of stuff going on with plane disasters this week, and random events, happen non-randomly. So, this does happen in three sometimes, but my brother was a statistician and he used to say that all the time, but sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. So
Remember when we had all those trains that were crashing? It was like, we had a week where it was like 7 different train crashes, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And now it seems like this is the week for airplane crashes. What is going on?
Well, and then before that, it was all of the ships crashing. Then it was dead. Then the planes, and then train. Yeah, it's all systematic.
But that's also the law of statistics. It's that's the way it goes. Some things are coincidental and some things aren't.
Well, and didn't they say that CNN posted that there was a crash 6 hours before it actually happened?
Right. There was another plane that almost crashed into another.
I can explain.
Black Hawk. Oh, go
I
ahead.
can explain that. So, Eddie, what that actually is, that does look mysterious when that happens, but it's just an SEO trick. So it's a lot of news organizations will do a shady trick where they will post a blank page, early in the day or, 10 hours ago, then it gets ranked on Google. Then they'll go back when big news happens, edit that page, put a new headline and stuff. And then Google thinks, oh, these were the first people to the news, and they get higher rankings on the search results. So that's why it looked mysterious, but they do that all the time. It's just shady.
Okay.
There's usually like a slug though, like a URL slug, which is the mangled, sort of a cleaned up version of the title. Yeah. So it'd be really hard for them to be able to post an article to a URL that just happened to have the title slug embedded as the URL. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
It's totally over my head right now. I don't even know.
The example that I usually go to is there were a lot of people that were confused when it was a Wayfair thing. There was the Wayfair conspiracy that was going on where people thought there's all these products on Wayfair and they cost $10,000 for a piece of furniture. And that's very strange. And they kind of got this idea that Wayfair was a front for child trafficking. And that when you bought like a dresser for $10,000, you were buying like some trafficked person. What that actually was another SEO trick where sometimes, if you get your products listed on Wayfair or Walmart.com, it's usually $10, but then you run out of stock. Well, you don't want to lose your good rankings of where your product is in the search results. And so you just jack the price up to something that no one will ever buy till you get more inventory in. And then you bring the price back down to normal. So it's all just people trying to manipulate search platforms for those two.
Well, no, there's something also really mysterious about Wayfair because I dug into this conspiracy, and the weird thing is that they were naming it children's names, but not only that, but every single one of these high-priced items, the child's name also linked up with a missing child in the registry, the missing child registry. That was the weird thing, sort of the smoking gun of the whole Wayfair thing. But, you know, who knows exactly? I think the whole thing was just a psyop.
I think it was a distraction. It was to make, you know, it's the same thing with like the Q thing. Well, Q, it had like, you know, 50% of it was correct, but they mix in a 50% of a bunch of crazy stuff. And then anybody who doesn't dig deep enough, they're like, oh, well, this is obviously nonsense. And they don't look into what the truth is. So they do this type of stuff to make people go off the trail.
Right. It's like a shit lasagna. Like most of the lasagna is good, but there's a few layers of shit. Yeah. And you can't eat it, right? No one can eat it. So they reject the whole thing. I think that's what they're doing. That's what they're serving up.
Yep.
Sorry, Susan.
What were you going to say, Eddie?
I don't even remember. I got lost in the shit lasagna.
Zach has that ability. So Andrew, what are you were talking about this Mexican aircraft that crashed and killed an additional 7 people or so. They were 19 injured on the ground, and then somebody thinks, I saw on Twitter, that it looked like a missile that flew in and blew this plane up. I think, Zach, you told me the same thing, actually. You called that one out. But do you think this is related in any way, Andrew? Do you think there is a cover-up or it's a front for something else besides the human trafficking potentiality?
You know what? It could sound so far-fetched to some, but it doesn't to me, that all this stuff is orchestrated. It's misdirection. It's smoke and mirrors. One thing happens, another, then all of a sudden your tensions. It's just like your fires in California. That was intentional. What's happening now, it's going to die down. It's off the news, so to speak. But pay attention to who tries and comes and buy up some of that land at a pennies on the dollar. Next, oh
God, don't take me there, Andrew. Don't take me there. Okay. Don't make me.
Well, whoever they are, they have an envisioned beautiful California. You know, this is how California should be. We have to get rid of the existing one.
Well, in Altadena, they didn't turn off the electricity in 90 mile an hour Santa Ana winds in Altadena, and I know, as a matter of fact, and maybe some people don't understand this, but the electric company is owned by the Chinese. I don't know if it was that was human error or mistake, but yeah, you had to bring up the fires. But that one rings close to home as well. But this thing with we were in the middle of a week where we were sending Mexicans back to Mexico. So, you know, there was a big migration going out of the country, and, you know, all of a sudden you have this Mexican plane blow up full of, you know, Medivac plane or whatever in the middle of Philadelphia. I mean, if that was a message they were trying to get across to somebody, that one to me seems like a message.
To me too.
I got something to say.
When you said, I'm sorry?
I got something to say about that.
Let's do it.
Guy jump in. All right. This Medivac, you know, look, the first videos that came out of here obviously looked like a missile going at incredible velocity, like hypersonic, right? And then, like, when I saw the evening news video, it was all doctored. Like, it was slow moving crash into the buildings, looked more like a falling airplane. But the videos that got scrubbed looked like a jet-powered rocket coming down with pure intention. Like, it had no sort of like, gradual angle or descent. It was like heading a straight line, right? And there's almost like a scream to it as you can hear the jet engines, you know, scream on that thing. And then, like, the official story is that it was a, you know, medevac, and that all of the people that were on the helicopter or whatever the plane was foreign nationals. Well, what a coincidence. Now we don't have a paper trail. Now we don't have them on social media. Who knows who they are? We can't trace anyone absolutely on that. It's a dead end. I think that this was a retaliation for whatever foreign national we killed via that droned Black Hawk helicopter. And that country's like, oh yeah, well, we're going to strike you too. And you may think that the United States would tell its citizens if there was a foreign attack, on U.S. soil, right? No, they don't do this. And, I've seen, there was 3 years ago, there was a Navy ship sitting in the San Diego harbor that just blew up, right? Just blew up. Looked like a torpedo from, I don't know, maybe a Chinese sub or something. And, the United States covered up. Why? Because they don't care about these tit for tats, right? It's kind of a display of power. We're just going to poke the other side, see what they do. And I think that's such a, hey, we just off this person, so China's got to respond. Or maybe it was Russia, who knows, right, who did it. And they responded by, shoving a missile down our backside. And then the compliant media, they're all controlled, and it's sort of propaganda at that point. They got some marching order with this ludicrous narrative with a dead end so that nobody could verify anything. And then they ran false video to make it look like it was an airplane crash when clearly,
Yeah, there was something up with that, definitely. And then when Andrew mentioned the human trafficking, it doesn't necessarily have to be, young children or whatever, but their human trafficking also includes body parts. So if you, a lot of countries will sell body parts to hospitals and stuff for a very large amount of money. And if somebody on the plane knew about it, then you never know. So I don't know. There's a lot of the fact that we don't know anything and they keep hiding stuff from us makes us become more conspiratorial in our thoughts. And I don't mean to be like that, but give us some answers, tell us what's going on, who these people are, and we'll stop being such a pain in the ass. Okay. But I also want to say that these are okay.
I'm sorry. I have some travel warnings for this year for people. Just when you're done, I'm sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was connecting to, I know that there's so many near misses out there every day that aren't even reported in the air traffic. So that's happened. That happens every day. What I was feeling is, I put a list together. Do not fly to Spain in July. Do not fly to Istanbul at all this year. I feel Egypt coming into the news. It's not a good time this year to go to Egypt either. London in the summertime, I'm not feeling good about it. Something to do with a bridge, something not good. Just if you can avoid these places, if you have plans right now, you know who I'm talking to. I'm going there at this time. That's who this is directed as. Postpone. Okay. Do not travel from California to New York in June. If you can. And I was also feeling something with the Airbuses. If you have a way to stay off an Airbus, do that this year. I don't think we get to pick our plane, do we? I was going
to fly to New York in June, so I will definitely listen to that. He took that warning. Thank you. And I was going to go to Spain potentially too in June, but you said July. That's good.
I said July.
Yeah. Oh boy. Thanks.
But I had something else kind of disturbing, Susan, that I don't know if your viewers or even people are even aware of this. I'm feeling some strong connection to the Satanic Church, and I felt more of a silent Satanic Church. So powerful people, elites or otherwise, celebrities cannot be found out and known that they're part of this church, but I feel they are. And there's some list coming available this year that's going to attest to that. There's these people. Your Satanic Church, is the head of the church still in San Francisco? I think it was before, right?
A Satanic church that celebrities are filling.
I was actually at the Masonic Church at the very top because that's where YouTube decided to host one of their company get-togethers. I kid you not. So if that's what you mean by the Satanic Church, yes, there is the Masonic Center at one of the highest points within San Francisco.
Huh. Well, this is very disturbing. And when people start seeing who's involved in this, and essentially some celebrities and politicians have sold their souls. And I think they go into this church as young people and get they're around these powerful people who are able to change their lives and give them these things, give them a shot at a movie, whatever, give them that. But at what cost? They're losing their souls. And I feel like this is more rampant than maybe even you think throughout Hollywood and California and the world. But I feel like there's some sort of I picked up silent satanic church. So I don't know what that means. It's something behind the scenes. Not
satanic church.
Yes, right?
Interesting.
SSC, we'll call it.
Crazier things have happened, trust me.
But I'm saying that there's people that are associated with that church that have sold their souls, essentially, that are going to be found out. And they weren't active in the church, like going, whatever they do at that church, I don't know. But that something's going to be found out, and maybe shocking to some to see where their fame came from.
Like we're finding out a lot of stuff, now that we're in a new horizon here. It's very strange how a lot of stuff is happening and coming out in the media now. Or not just the media, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of a new trend since Trump came into office. We're going to find out a lot of stuff.
I want to point out one other creepy, disgusting thing I picked up on. So one of the things that's probably going to come out in the news this year is about our French president, Macron. I think he's going to be in the news this year. I think he's disgusting, and I think he's got this some sort of involvement with, I don't know if it's pedophilia or something's coming in the news with him involving children.
Did you hear that, Robin? This is right up your alley, Robin.
Is that
French
Robin's
President
alley?
Macron. Something to do with, yeah. So Robin's been wondering if his wife is trans, actually, and whether they're being honest about it.
Never seen a picture of her. Do you have one?
I don't. I don't care if she is or whatever, but what you just said is 10 times worse. So we'll definitely. She wasn't listening. She's not. She's doing something right now. But yeah, that's an interesting insight that you have, and the whole idea of satanic worship and celebrity is kind of interesting because our next segment we're going to be talking about Kanye West. So. Before you go, I just wanted to add a little bit more to the DEI hire sort of theory with the woman, Rebecca Lorbach. She was in bed with the White House, obviously. She was shown in a picture next to Hillary Clinton and Ralph Lauren and Jill Biden before she left the White House, obviously. But the other thing that we've learned recently is a lot of money was sent for DEI events and trans and LGBTQ events all over the world. And Joe Biden was behind that too. So my instinct is all roads lead to Joe Biden. So if that had anything to do with it, and the fact that nobody from the Biden administration has come out and said what a tragedy it is really bothers me as well. So I don't know, it makes me kind of sad. What was that noise? Did you say something, Zach?
Oh, I said, how interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to leave it with that because I use my
Hey, what was that was just
instincts.
Up there? I missed it. Candace Owen responds to Emmanuel Macron's legal...
Yeah, this is what just happened recently. Candace Owens has been threatening to release this documentary and tried to get a response from them, but they didn't. And so she released a documentary that she claims contains extensive evidence that Emmanuel Macron's wife is transgender. They haven't responded, or they're just giving legal threats. But she has a whole docuseries that she's actually begun within the past few days about that topic.
It's almost like they're guaranteeing. It's almost like they're guaranteeing that it's going to have the widest possible audience whatsoever by coming out and saying, no, you can't do this. We're going to threaten to sue you, blah, 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 blah. In the United States, like, all right, maybe if she was a French citizen, like that might actually be a, plausible strategy. But what the heck are they thinking trying to sue somebody in another country that's a popular social media person, all all that's going to do is generate headlines and put eyeballs on this movie. Like, it's the Barbara Streisand effect. Like have they learned no lessons in PR? Like, this is a walking PR disaster that guarantees that this movie is going to have double the viewership of whatever it was going to have before. Oh, and the threats are going to fail because that's Candace Owens, and she doesn't back down. You know, no matter what the personal cost is to her, she's going to be a martyr. She wants to be a martyr. And if, you know, the French president wants to martyr her, then, then they're going to guarantee that this documentary is absolutely a bombshell in the United States.
Eddie has something to add to this conversation.
And Zachary, what I find fascinating is when you're saying this, it feels like other countries in the world will release something similar about their oligarchs or their kings and queens or their princesses and princes or whoever's like the head honchos in those countries. I feel like there's going to be a ripple effect of things like this in other countries. So it's not a, quote, isolated incident. They're going to see that there's this pattern that runs in these groups of people that manipulate all of the population of the planet.
Wow. Well, let's hope Andrew isn't right and there isn't pedophilia in the president's future. And any of these topics that we're talking about are all not necessarily my opinion, but they are interesting thoughts. And we'll know in the future if any of this stuff comes true. You know, that's all I can do is sit and wait. But interesting. I know that Zach is dying. He has a choice here. He can take a run or he can quickly get a psychic reading from Eddie.
Let's do the psychic reading. Let's do it. Eddie, let's go.
Let's do it.
And we'll let Andrew chime in too.
Okay, I have a few different things. So here's some generic things. You're born on the day of the silent mystic, and your life path 1, which is very strong leadership. It's hard for you to sit still and just to be complacent. You have to jump up, but you're also born on a number 5 day. So you have that 1, 5, 10. You have perfect balance. And what's fascinating is you're born in a year that's a 9. 9 is old endings and brand new beginnings. And this year, you're going to fall right into continued leadership. Currently, you're in the solar plexus, which is your soul esteem, soul confidence chakra. And the first thing I got when I tuned into you was still waters run deep and get the F out of the way. And then you have this standout energy where you march to the beat of your own drummer. And I wrote down eyes seem strong for some reason, but I didn't know if you were having trouble with them. But just looking at your face, it looks like you have really pretty eyes. And I was going to ask you what the deal was with your hair. If that's some aspect of your personality that you change over the years because your ass gets bored.
I had a friend that convinced me to do long hair, and the whistleblowing came right at the time. I never cut it, and it just sort of like happened right away. And I should have gotten a cut, but that was a one-time experiment, and I apologize to everyone for the man bun.
That's so funny. And I wrote down that this is before I got here. All I had was your birthday to go on. That you're very attractive, but you're kind of an enigma at the same time. You're definitely a shapeshifter and a jack of all trades. And like we said, you get bored super easy. You're wanting to lock in greater money, work, consistency before you turn 49. You have this thing in your gut where it's like, I'm going to do this if it effing kills me. And it's not going to kill you. That's the good part because you're going to make it happen. And on your next birthday, you're going to move up to the heart chakra. That just means you're really going to be operating more on your passions, what brings you the most joy. And you have twin energy somewhere either in your family, in your bloodline, or in your chart. Are you aware of that?
No, tell me more.
Okay. I would pay attention to it because it seems like it could be that you, and I mean this respectfully, you play both sides of the coin, but not in a duplicitous way or a narcissistic way. You look at the black, you look at the white, you look at the right, you look at the wrong. And you're not saying this is right and wrong. You pull all of that content up to the mountaintop and you just want to kind of scream out, look at it from this angle, people. Like you're definitely a waker upper person. You're a practical creative, but you also have really practical common sense. You have to be careful because you can be a little bit like a fart in a whirlwind, my friend. But that's because you have a lot of things on your plate. I wrote down, are you a host or an actor? Because I couldn't tell which, because I feel you in front of the camera, but I feel you behind the scenes as well. And then you're getting ready to garner international audiences. You probably already have it, but it's getting ready to get bigger and louder and more standing ovation kind of energy. They're telling me to tell you, do not burn yourself out. And you are cross-pollinating some TV deals or contracts, book deals, writing, hosting, in front, behind the camera, that sort of thing. Are you already pinned to do something for TV right now?
No.
Okay, you will have it by June, July, August of this year.
But don't do it in Spain.
Yeah, they're going to come to you and ask you, but there's something.
Or New York.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, that's right, because of the travel. And
Did
they're
Kaleb
telling
put
me
you
to
up to
tell.
this? Kaleb, that's a joke. I'm kidding. But
Okay, it's
sorry.
They're telling me to tell you, you're going to be vindicated. For whatever that's worth, you'll be vindicated. So whatever this blood, sweat, and tears has been, you're going to come out on top. And the thing about you is you're a very ingratiating person, but you're not scared to throw up a middle finger either, right? But you'll be happy that you're vindicated. You'll be humble about it, but you have good soul esteem with it. And here's the answer to your question. Will I get it all back? Yes, and then some, bitch.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Wow, what a great note to end on. I'm gonna go, ski this mountain.
Hey, you don't want to hear what I have to
yourself.
say yet?
Oh yeah, Andrew,
Yeah.
let's hear what you got to say.
I just got a little something else for you, okay?
Yeah.
You think you know who you are, Zach, but I'm telling you, you don't. There's a constant struggle going on. Your identity has been certainly since the whistleblower. You've been whistleblower. I'm telling you, the universe isn't done with you. You think you found out your why. I'm telling you, you haven't. Your why meaning, I always tell everybody the two most important points in everybody's life is being born and then the why. I think your why is somewhere coming. It's not, you have not found it yet. Communication, ironically, Zach, is not one of your strong suits. Even though you're a communicator in your personal life, you don't. You're suffering and you need to work on that. And I think getting grounded more is going to help you, and understanding what you're capable of too is coming. Your why is definitely coming. I don't feel you're living your best life. I think that's coming. I think you're going to figure it all out. And your identity is not whistleblower, Zach. Is so much more to you than that. So, and I feel like the world will be getting to know you a little more. Like as
Andrew, deep down, I just wanna help deliver the world that science fiction writers promised us, and not this dystopian nightmare that they almost shoved us off a cliff to.
This is true.
Love it.
I agree with that. I like it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm off to the mountains.
Nice to meet you, Zach.
Likewise.
Get the book.
Yeah,
Hopefully
Google
talk
Leaks.
again.
Yes, Google
I
these.
know where this all roots from, and I'm going to be taking a little break here, and then bringing in a special secret person. I think Andrew has to go. Do you have to go,
I do.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. Where can we find you, Andrew, if we want to get a psychic reading?
Psychicmediumreading.org. That's my website, or just
Easy
Google
enough.
my name.
Yeah,
Just Google
Andrew
Anderson.
Anderson. He's from Chicago. He's a psychic medium, and I've had a reading from him, and it was phenomenal.
Thank you, Susan.
And thanks for coming in to calling out on our psychic news channel, where we channel the news.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, bye.
That's going to be my new, the name of my show, my psychic news channel, where I channel the news. Get it? Okay. Anyway, so most people also know that staying hydrated is essential nearly every bodily function, but 75% of Americans still do not consume enough fluid daily. Not to mention, as we age, natural changes can make staying hydrated even harder. With Native Hydrate by Native Path, you can fuel your body with essential electrolytes for cellular hydration plus branched chain amino acids. These natural ingredients are backed by science with help strengthening muscles and minimizing cramps, improving bladder health. Yes, having water in your bladder is good, boost energy, and other things. This is how important it is to hydrate. Native Hydrate is free of artificial flavors, sugars, and dyes. It's only 5 calories per serving. With every order comes a 365-day money-back guarantee. Like I said, you can spit it out and send it back. Visit nativehydrate.com/calling out to see what your optimal hydration could do for your health. That's nativehydrate.com/calling out. That's NATIVHYDRATE.com/calling out. And so staying hydrated is a really good thing, especially for somebody of my age group. I don't really drink enough water, but also having those solutes inside your water is great. And this is how we sponsor the show. So, I don't expect you guys to all send us money or, chat, super chats or Rumble Rant, whatever you call them. But, if you want to check out our sponsors, you can also go to drdrew.com/sponsors, find all the sponsors at drdrew.tv. And so this has been, besides this horrific, tragic experience that we saw with these, the loss of human life, I'm going to change up a little bit here and go towards something that's a little, it's probably just as tragic, but you're not really aware of it. We were all witness to the Grammy Awards this year. And, I've gone to many Grammys. I've been on the red carpet at the Grammys. There's a picture of me kissing. If you Google Dr. Drew and Susan on the red carpet at the Grammys, you'll see a picture of me and Drew kissing, which was kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I felt a little uncomfortable doing it, but they're like, kiss her wife, like it's Valentine's Day, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen a lot of crazy costumes in my day. I've seen a lot of things. But this week I was rather disappointed now that I'm a grandmother. And I'm a mother of 3 32-year-olds who have been to a lot of rock concerts. And I've been to a lot of MTV events. And I've seen pretty much everything there is to see in the rock world. But I was highly agitated by the Kanye West event where he brought his wife Bianca on the red carpet and had her remove her fur coat to only find basically, a silk stocking over her body. And she was absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to give her that. But she was naked on the red carpet at the Grammys. The Grammys, to me, represent music, musicians, and I love music. I love rock. I love pop. I love rap. I love all these musical things in my life. However, my husband would disagree and say that we're letting sociopaths, run our lives here. Some of the bad things that have happened in the rock industry are horrible. There's a lot of addiction. There's a lot of, abuse and things that happen, like Led Zeppelin, for example. But this was sort of a weird time for it to just pop up, and it kind of threw me. So I decided to reach out to an expert who was at the Grammys to get her take on the what went on there and how it was. How the audience took it, if it was something that everybody thought was great. So I'm bringing here today Green Girl. Green Girl was, welcome to Calling Out with Susan Pinsky. I'm so happy you made it today. I know that you were present.
Well, I actually was at the event.
Is her mic on?
Yeah, I can't really hear the.
There we go.
Okay. I wasn't actually at the red carpet or the official Grammys event. I was at the after parties hosting as Green Girl. Mm-hmm. But as one of the biggest Ye archive pages on the internet. I witnessed probably firsthand the public reaction at the after parties, as well as how people are reacting online from like every age group, from like teenagers to grandmothers. So I have a lot of thoughts on this topic.
Okay, so when you heard about it, were you surprised?
Well, I'm not shocked at all. I've been following Ye closely for 3 years now. And I mean, 2 years ago, when he didn't even want Kim to reveal cleavage, he was on Tucker Carlson saying, "Come back to God." And Bianca comes into the picture, and within 2 months of their relationship, she's naked with a cross on her butt, styled by her friend, this guy named Gadir. Ye got a lot of blame for that. People thought that he was the one that styled her, but in fact, it was her friend. During that time, Ye was still making Christian music, and he hired a Christian coordinator to come to Japan to make sure that he didn't use any swear words and there was no degeneracy in his new album. His name was Bryson Gray. Bryson Gray did a live months later saying that they had a private conversation where Ye said that Bianca was an exhibitionist and that he didn't want to tell her how to dress because that's what ruined the relationship with Kim, is how controlling he was. So that he was just going to let Bianca do whatever she wanted and that he wasn't going to control her. Right now, everyone is saying that he is the reason that she did this. After spending some time the last couple of days thinking about it, I definitely think she's okay with it. I've talked to Bianca before. She told me she feels comfortable being naked, but I also know people are very mad about. I honestly, at this point, I've analyzed the situation so much. I've been back and forth that I kind of want to know what a psychic thinks.
Do we know Bianca's birthday by chance?
Bianca's a Capricorn.
Okay. I bet you $10 she's got 5 somewhere in there.
And she has a lot of Sagittarius in her chart.
Okay. Well, with do you say yay or do you say
Yay.
Kanye? Okay. Yay. Okay.
I'm not sure.
How did you just know that she was a 5?
Because she's beautiful.
And 5s are beautiful longer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
January
She's very young.
5th, 1995.
And Kanye's a master number.
They're almost my kid's
Yep,
age.
he's an 11.
He's an 11.
And got that 8 in there.
And when he was Kanye West, he was a 33 in Gematria. And then once he changed his name to Ye, we're seeing a lot of this shenanigans. So people don't think he's real. They think he's a clone. He's been posting a lot saying he's not a clone. But even post Grammys, Ye's misbehaving. Like he's attacking women today. He called the girl a trans. Now she's in my DMs flipping out at me saying, "Why are you reposting this?" I go, "You have 300,000 followers." He's attacking women in their DMs right now. Like he's like in bully mode. His new album is called Bully, and he is bullying people in the DMs. These 2 girls wrote on his post, "Why, like, you have daughters, brother. Why are you dressing your wife naked?" And then one of the girls he attacked publicly, he did 6 posts calling her out, saying your work sucks and your father hates you or something like that.
Wow.
And then the other girl, he slid in her DMs and said, "I might have daughters, but at least I wasn't born somebody's son." And now this girl's mad because I reposted their interaction, but I told her, you posted it. So it's a little bit crazy what's going on. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Do you know who Gemma Touchstone is?
And no.
She wrote something that I thought was good. For decades, women have fought for the right to be seen as more than their bodies, to be recognized for their intelligence, talents, and contributions to society rather than be reduced to objects of consumption. Yet here we are watching a high-profile figure parade his wife around in ways that strip her literally of any personal agency. The most frustrating part, it's being disguised as choice. Now, for me, I find this to be true, and I also think that Kanye may have sex addiction problems.
He has a sex addiction. He's openly talked about it.
Yeah, and I think that they are. Somebody on YouTube said that her eyes were vacant, or she. I noticed this look that they had. Marilyn, thank you. That she was staring sort of with dead eyes into the camera, and almost like they were high, but not. I don't know if they were high on something else, but sex addiction can cause that kind of disassociation feeling that a person gets when they're doing something that just either they're doing for shock value or whatever.
If you see the after party videos, though, she's like singing Adele, acting so happy, acting so fun, and mainstream won't report on that. So, like, I think they match each other's freak. They're both really kinky, and they're really into this kind of polygamous lifestyle. I know that they're open to other partners, I'm sure. I think they're both, I mean, Bianca could leave him if she wanted. And like, there might be something else going on in this relationship. That's why I'm interested in what Eddie thinks, because no one really has the full story. Even me, who studies Ye's every move on my page, I have no idea what's going on. I would like to know what a psychic thinks about what's going on.
Me too. The thing I'm tuning, he's a life path 11. He's a master number, and 11s are, and the thing with an 11, a 22, and a 33, they pick really hard beginnings to get through what they need to get through to learn from it, so they can be of service to the greater community. And he may have done a lot of that. He's also born on an 8 day, which means some people think the 8 is an infinity.
Oh, so we have that in common.
Yep.
The 8.
So you got the heaven, expanded consciousness, the earth, the non-physical, physical, the good, the bad. But when the 8 gets separated inside of a person, especially if they're a double-digit number, then you have the duplicity. You have the good twin, the bad twin.
And he's a Gemini.
Well,
so he's already got the twins going on.
He has it 3 ways. And how he has it 3 different ways is the 11 is 1, the 8, when it separates, is 2, and the Gemini is 3. And that's just what we know of, which means there's almost like 6 sub-personalities of him walking around. And if he's not careful, meaning when he's not grounded, anyone with this kind of energy, if they're not grounded, they pick up on everything around them. Mm-hmm. So if the world thinks of you a certain way and you're not grounded, and you walk into an arena where people have been programmed to think of you a certain way, you become that thing. And the same with her. Now, what's fascinating to me just in the numbers, thank you, they just said, I don't know enough about the Q phenomenon, but I know it's brilliant in its own way. And so there's Q, then there's QAnon. I don't think QAnon is real. I think there are the Anons, and then there's Q, but not QAnon. What they just told me is when Kanye is grounded, when he's aligned, he is always sending a message.
A good message.
A good message.
Right. So when he's sober?
When he's sober or not sober, he's actually sending a message.
Taking his meds.
It's kind of like a message for help. Like, there's a thing,
like a cry for help for me.
There's a boogeyman theory going on here where he's pointing in that direction, and then people will, while she takes her coat off. But there's something going on here where there are hidden messages in everything he does. And if you know how to decode it, and you probably do in your own way, because he has a distinct pattern.
Well, he also is selling female clothes for the first time. So they did the shock value.
Get attention.
And now, 2 days later, he released a women's clothing line.
There you go.
Like, he's always been the master at shock value.
Right, of course.
11s are the great messengers out of all of the numbers.
They'll keep making money, like Howard Stern. Yep. I saw his bare ass, when he was Fart Man.
I'm sorry, PTSD much?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too. I felt bad for Eminem first time I
know, Eminem got a mouthful.
He did.
And we thought that was bad, right?
Oh, it's going to get a little worse before it gets better.
But now, can we move on to the children? Kim Kardashian,
Was there anything else about Bianca? Like, is she okay?
Go ahead. No.
Yeah.
Well,
because a lot of people are worried about her, but Bianca seems fine.
We're all worried about her.
She comes from a very, very wealthy family in Australia, and all of her family reposted her naked, but then the media outlets are reporting that her family can't stand it when her sister and mother are posting it on their Instagram story.
I didn't show a picture of it because I refused to.
So her sisters literally posted a photo saying, like, proud of my sister, but then the media is saying that they're disgusted by her. So that's bad reporting. Like, we need to, her family's supporting it.
I think nobody should report it. It should be silenced.
Well, and we know the mainstream media, the legacy media is now it's going to collapse.
It's already collapsing.
She could get arrested for this, by the way. Somebody could report her and say that, I relapsed because I saw a naked woman on a you could have her arrested. It's not.
Don't drop your clothes when I'm trying to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Male or female.
But see, the point I'm trying to make is, okay, Kanye has an 11-year-old daughter, okay, who has a stepmother who just did a red carpet naked. And Kim was worried she said, I feel like West, what is it? North. North is trying to dress like her stepmother. And she was asking me to do certain things. An 11-year-old.
Why did Kim say that?
She said that she didn't really appreciate the way that North wanted to dress because she saw Bianca doing things. So this is not a good role model for an 11-year-old, especially a boy. Like, this is the kind of stuff that sex addiction breeds from.
People also, they'll just say, well, Kim's got her start with the sex tape. So then they say the kids are screwed either way because they have Kanye as a dad and Kim as a mom.
But you're also creating addiction for others that aren't their kids. Like, can't pick our parents, but we as, viewers can say, hey, I really don't want my 12-year-old who's watching, their favorite pop star on the Grammys have to, see all of a sudden there's a nude person on, it's porn for them.
Well, it's weird because most of his fans, like, he announced he was going to launch Yeezy Porn back in June, and his entire fan base, almost, I would say 80%, turned on him and said, we were here since Jesus is king. So these are the same people that found God because of him. He brought all these people close to Jesus because of his views on modesty, treating people. He didn't even swear for a few years. So this is literally polar opposite behavior.
Something's wrong. So his addiction is in full bloom.
He's not really into the God thing right now, but he's calling himself a God now again too.
We also know that he has a manic depressive disorder. So a while back, he was professing that he was going to run for president at the MTV VMAs. This is right after he yanked an award out of Taylor Swift's hand and handed it to Beyonce, who, by the way, just won an award for, no coincidence, for country music this time around too, which was pretty weird. But coming full circle, he's always looking for attention. This is his medical problem. And he just keeps getting accepted and they keep coming back. And on the heels of Diddy, it's like, aren't we learning from that? There's all this abuse going on and it's going to open up. Maybe this is going to be that satanic cult. And
when I was at my event at the Grammys the other night, a lot of people were defending Diddy.
Yeah, I mean,
they were like, I don't care. They said they didn't care.
Well, you have managers, you have agents, you have record producers, you have all these people that prop these guys up. I mean, look at Michael Jackson. He died. He was a drug addict.
Well, I think people are also confused too because Ye was the one to call out the music industry. He was the one that said that it's all like degenerate. So now it's interesting because I guess he did have tickets to the Grammys. So I got confirmation this morning that he did have tickets. So that was also a lie that the legacy media told, that he wasn't uninvited. Yeah. He did have tickets.
I don't know if he's going to get them next year.
But what's interesting, though, is he was just calling out that he pissed on a Grammy. He was anti-industry. He was calling out the industry. Mm-hmm. He goes to the carpet just to make a scene. He made a scene and then he leaves. So I don't think he wants to be back in the industry.
Individual to
He's just confusing. I don't take anything he says anymore at face value because he could literally change his mind. He flip-flops.
And that's the
fans. So the fans need to stop following every move he say because he has such a cult following that they'll just, if he says like, go harass this woman, they'll go harass that woman. Or if he says like, love God, then they'll say that they're Jesus lovers. So like, I think people should just look at Ye as Ye and they don't have to take on his opinions in the moment because they change the next second.
Yes. Well, and people should just stop
following.
The
sad part, though, is that he's lost a lot of his older followers. So the people he's influencing are younger. They're teenagers. So
yes, they are. That's my point.
Yeah.
And, we're all adults. We can handle this
Most of his adult followers don't take him seriously anymore.
I mean, I don't want to draw attention that there was a naked lady on the Grammy red carpet to anybody out there who has kids that, might actually, I don't think anybody's listening to my show with their kids. But
next week, he literally might go back to modesty. That's the thing about him. Next week, he might have Bianca covered in a full hijab. That's how he is. And then all of his followers will start talking shit about OnlyFans girls. But then this week, they're okay with it. It's so interesting.
Which is
Shane Cashman unfollowed Ye because he can't take it
Can't do
anymore.
Well, he's got young kids.
So Shane was the first one to call it out back when he went to Ye's Vulture show and he left the show and called me and said, I have a really bad feeling.
Yeah.
He had North on stage while people were smoking weed. He goes, this goes against everything Ye and I talked about because they used to be
his daughter
close.
is already affected by it. So, and she's at an age where it's really going to be affecting her life.
Ye's, yeah, and Ye's,
and
Shane,
she
yeah.
comes from a divorced family. She's got, these two superstar parents, and, the whole Kardashian thing is crazy. But I worry about this generation of kids and what they're seeing. And it's not, maybe if you're born into that family, fine. But I don't want my grandkids to look at that shit. So
did the Grammys air it, or was it just online?
No, it was online, but it's everywhere. Like, okay,
they got more attention than anything.
I just met a woman in Florida. We were having dinner, and she just allowed her kids to watch TikTok, to get TikTok, and they were in that age group. And I just wanted to text her and go, hey, don't let them go on TikTok today, because there's going to be nude pictures of.
Well, that was the weirdest part of this whole thing. Is when I started my Kanye page. The first couple posts that I archived were him saying he does not want his daughters on TikTok. He does not want North to be used by the music industry. I don't want my daughter to be used by Disney. He didn't want.
Yeah.
And now North has a TikTok with Kim. Kim didn't listen. She let North have the TikTok. And I think he's at this point just living like he's dying.
Yeah, TikTok is where the kids
I think
go,
he's
but
given
that's
up.
like the worst place. I think, I don't have TikTok because I'm afraid they're listening to me.
He went from.
You can't hear me right now, though.
Yeah, he went from saving the children to
I think we're live on
exposing
TikTok.
people. It's interesting.
I'd
What do you think about his future, Addie?
If he comes back into alignment, I think everything he's doing is a message. I really do, even when he's imbalanced. And sometimes the message is supposed to be here, but it goes way, way out of the way. Their connection with each other is they have double sixes and a single five that bound them together.
Bianca and Ye.
Yep. And the 6 is home and family. So whatever's going on in that home and family that makes them both want attention instead of connection, they'll do the yin yang, no pun intended, the yi and the yang back and forth with each other. She'll drop her coat and he'll just stand there and she'll put it on, and then he'll point over there to something he wants to send a message about. Thank you. They just said, and I don't know anything about these things, but they just pointed back to Kim. And they're saying that was the beginning of the end for him.
Yep.
And he did not think he was going to survive that. Thank you. And they're saying most of these messages have to do with how he was pushed down, that was not really almost a marriage. It was almost like Kim was doing to him what people perceive that he's doing to Bianca.
Yeah.
And that's part of the signaling. Thank you. They're saying he's walking this tightrope where he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't.
He's never been able to win in the media.
And because the media is going to be against him if he tells the truth when he steps off the line.
That's why I'm saying I think at this point, he could never win either way. So he just doesn't give a shit anymore.
Until the legacy media is completely obliterated. And then he's standing there after the atomic bomb lands. And he's like, now do you see what I was trying to say? No, we didn't.
He's always ahead. He wore the red hat before everyone. Now everyone's wearing the red hat. So he's always doing things before, and then he gets ridiculed for it.
We know he's creative. We
Sending
know he's
signals.
a musician. We know he's interesting. He's.
Does that mean we're all going to be
he's
naked in a few years?
He's not a terrible person, but
No.
he's doing things that are lewd. He could, next thing you know, he's going to be jerking off
I also
on kids'
think
faces.
I think he has a lot
whatever.
of trauma that's unresolved, like the Donda's
Exactly.
death, the music industry trauma, the Kim Kardashian
Most drug
trauma.
addicts and sex addicts do. They have a lot
I was
of trauma.
told it's like a demon. JK Ultra, who was on the show, told me when celebrities have like this little trauma that's unresolved, it actually goes into a demon. You believe that?
Yeah.
Like
So
he
demon.
needs to find his higher power.
Yeah, and I grew up in the land of Southern Baptist, in North Carolina in the 60s. I grew up in the Bible Belt. Wasn't pretty, okay? The buckle. And so grandma did an exorcism on me in elementary school.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We're finding out so much about him
for
today.
a lot of reasons. It didn't take, evidently. But And she said, you got 2 demons right here on this shoulder, and you got another demon over here, and we just need to put some holy water on you and do an exorcism. So she dragged me behind the wood stove and started talking in tongues.
Wow.
But now,
Good for her.
And then what ended up happening as I grew up and looked back, the word demon just means deep, deep rooted, impure thought. So it's part of a deep-rooted program that once it's clicked in, it activates and it has more power over you than your conscious mind does.
That's an addictive brain.
I think what's annoying about the whole thing is that
addiction.
There's other things that Ye has done that are negative and nobody cares. Like there's about like 50 employees that went unpaid because his team is a mess. Nobody cares about the employee treatment. They're only worried about someone's ass crack. So it's like, why? It's
something illegal and gets
it's like
thrown in
as a
jail, it's not gonna
society,
stop.
why do we pick and choose what morals matter and what don't? Like he's wronged a lot of. There's a guy right now. He's always talking about how he's owed money and like nobody cares about him. I just think the whole thing is a disaster.
Yeah.
But
Sounds terrible.
I also think it's because he's an artist trying to do this independently. So he doesn't have his ducks in a row to pay these people. Like he shouldn't be the financial advisor. Like everything's unorganized. He's an artist.
Yep. He needs somebody who can do that, but not
But he
the
doesn't trust
industry.
anybody.
Broke?
But he doesn't trust
I know
anybody.
he lost some work in Japan, so
He just
$20 million or something.
He just posted that he's had 2.77 billion, but that service also is known for helping people.
He's not broke.
Well, it's actually unclear where he stands financially. He's saying he's worth 2.77 billion. Some people think somebody told him that to take advantage of him. Like he really can't trust anybody. There's so many leeches on his team taking millions from him that I kind of don't blame him for being paranoid.
Trust himself either.
No, he doesn't trust himself.
You have to burn
He's
the
constantly
barn down.
I think the Bianca thing was actually, it was weirdly a win for him because he got all the attention he wanted. And I think the sales were up on his website.
Ugh.
But he also has the whole world thinking it's a cry for help. But I think he likes and thrives in the negative publicity. I almost feel like this was better than him staying quiet offline in Japan, which was what he was doing for 2 years. I almost think this was the best marketing thing he could have done.
Really?
Despite it being terrible for like kids.
It's bad for
If we're talking
Americans.
for pure marketing, I think this is the best publicity stunt he's done.
And they're saying what that was him hiding until he could recalibrate and come back into some form of alignment. But then when he steps outside, he's boomeranged by everything. And then he goes back into the imbalance.
Yeah,
It's really sad.
You think it's sad?
I do.
Why?
I just think it's sad that when you are not grounded and you don't hold a pure thought consistently enough, you're going to be like a cork floating on the ocean in a riptide.
Someone that worked with him told me that him and Trump, both Gemini, is very similar. But the difference is that Trump moves to the waves of the current of the ocean and Ye's always moving against it. And that's why he's always all over the place.
Well, and Trump, in this metaphor, has an anchor and a team on that ship or that boat.
Ye needs a better team. He's always needed a better team.
He's got to have a team.
And it's hard for him to know who to trust because these people in the camp, they're very slimy and they're very charming. So it's hard for him to know who's real and who's not. So then when the good people come around, he doesn't trust them and he pushes the good people away, which is what I experienced.
Wow.
Well, that's the way it works, isn't it? If you're putting out this much good energy, but your belief is you're only open to receive this much. When you get a good, authentic person in your camp, it's so unfamiliar to you. You push what's the new away, the authentic away, the purity away, and you go back to the familiar taker, vampire.
You go back to the trauma.
And based on my limited interactions with Bianca, she seems like she really is trying to be like help him. And she seems authentic in her. A lot of people hate her. A lot of the people blame her for everything. I don't think that's fair to do.
I agree. She's a life path 3, which is the communicator, the actress, the connector, the higher consciousness. And she's born on a 5-day, which means she's supposed to enrich
beauty and travel.
Beauty, to the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we got to see it all.
I'm curious, do you know if Kim has any feelings on Bianca?
Oh, yes, she has.
She's not happy.
Is she jealous? Is she happy? A lot of people think Kim paid Bianca to tap into his sex addiction and destroy him. That's a theory online.
No.
I feel like there's a greater sense of control there with that family over him to this day that's going to come out sooner than later.
Well, because they want full control of the children. He has 4 kids.
That's what they're going to say. We want full control of the children.
I believe Kanye had a soul, but after this stunt, it needs to be controlled.
He has a soul.
No, he doesn't.
He's just vibrating a little bit further away from it than he probably would like to.
He needs to find his
soul.
higher power.
Well, there's that 8, right? Separate the soul from
himself.
the body.
There's a reason I follow, as much as like I've been angry. A lot of people think I turned on him.
Exhausting.
But there's still something in me that like still really identifies with him and still really likes him. Yeah. And I think I
met him once. I thought he was lovely. I introduced him to my daughter.
It's that
she was 16.
I like that he calls out the industry. I like that he's willing to take all these risks and that he's so authentic in the bad behavior. Because whenever I'm spiraling or bitching somebody out, I kind of tap into that bully mode that he's going into.
And then he'll step back into the industry that abused him and wrecked him.
And he's forgiving. That's the one thing I noticed about him. He's so forgiving. He's generous. So while he maybe doesn't always pay people because of the unorganization, he also gifts people cars that are like $1 million.
Well,
out of nowhere.
Bad people, they're just addicts.
Right.
It's different.
I think I'm just as forgiving as Ye because... Yeah.
But, you don't have mental health problems.
I definitely have mental health problems.
All right.
And what I've noticed is
I've noticed
most of his fans.
I mean, you get grounded more often. I have mental health problems, but you don't have them like he does.
Well, you're a Capricorn like Bianca, so we feel safe with you. We feel safe in our mental.
We all have mental health problems, but he has a diagnosed mental health problem that he has to take medication for.
Yes.
He's not taking his meds. He said on a podcast yesterday, he's autistic, not bipolar.
Oh, yeah. Well, whatever it is. He's not, he goes on these highs and lows and he does weird stuff. And
I think it's something totally different. I think it's like the Ye virus. I think it's a one of a kind. Like, I think whatever he has is beyond bipolar. I think he does have something beyond that.
I think it's Yavid-19.
Yavid-19, possibly. But I do, I don't think he has. What I notice about the fan base, though, is that all the fans that he attracts, even when he's at his worst, they'll DM me and they say the reason that they love him is because they have bipolar, they're schizophrenic, they have mentally. So most of his fan base has expressed that they like him because he's mentally ill and he represents them, which is interesting. That's why I think a lot of these people are very forgiving, but he is pissing a lot of people off too.
I mean, could it also be that people are forgiving because they have sympathy? Because a lot of his fans were teenagers when his mom died and remembers that as being
100%
such a big moment in his life. It's like anyone who listened to his music, you can really tell that was a very giant shift in his life. And then it's kind of like he's been on a journey just to find a path this whole time. And it looks like, well, he thought he would make him happy by becoming a billionaire, and that didn't work. Thought it'd make him happy by marrying the most famous woman on the planet. That didn't do it. Having all these kids, that didn't do it. And now he just can't find happiness. And it's like he can just get a little bit of a high.
I can 100%. Ye is never happy ever. I don't think he's ever been happy. He's always mad at somebody. He's never happy. I'm never happy either. So there's something I relate to with that.
Love and drug addiction.
I don't have a sex addiction, luckily.
That's an addictive brain. That's what happens. They can't keep a relationship. They can't keep a job, or they do crazy things. They go out and expose themselves to children. They die from this. They have unprotected sex, or somebody's ex-husband comes over and shoots them in the head because they're fucking around with their wife. They don't have any boundaries. They're not bad people, but they just do bad things that are not acceptable. But that's their brain. It's how it works. That's why you have to get treated for it, and you have to, find your higher power, and you have to be grateful and take accountability for all your actions of stupid stuff you do. He doesn't take accountability. He's not taking accountability. The Grammy organization is probably pissed off too.
I think the Grammys are so happy because they got them so much views. It was the lowest views they've ever gotten. That's the thing about them. The Grammys banned him in 2022.
Yeah, but the Grammys...
he was banned, even though he was nominated.
I'm going to tell you, the Grammy organization are very conservative, and they have a lot of rules, okay? they don't want this kind of thing to happen. It happened. What are they going to do? And maybe they got views, whatever. But that's not the way we want to promote artists and music and teach our children, what the difference between right and wrong. Okay. It just doesn't. And I just even having to think about this whole topic, the only reason why I did it was because I want people to understand that he has addictive qualities and he is doing these things and he can't keep his life together because of it. And I've never felt sorry for Kim Kardashian before, but I do now. Because it's really hard to treat. It's hard to change somebody.
But Addie's saying that they're controlling and there's a lot under the surface that's happening.
Yeah, that's what I think about that former relationship to this day.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
But to Kaleb's point and everything we're speaking about and for your audience, he was looking for the money, the millions and the billions to be happy. He didn't find it. He was looking for continued fame. It didn't happen. He was looking to fall in love. He fell in love and he's still not happy. Happiness is an inside job, and money, love, fame amplifies what you are. So if you're grotesquely imbalanced, it's going to throw you so off balance times 3 that it's going to be really, really hard. And then once you figure out what makes you feel good on the inside first, then you will attract in the outside world to you the things that match that, so you can go back into trusting again. Nothing outside of a human body will ever satiate us purely to the core of our being. Anything outside will not do it. It amplifies what you don't have or what you don't feel you can have.
It's interesting too, because he's 47 years old with so many hit records, so many great successes on his resume, but he still has this fire inside him that he wants to keep going when he could easily just fuck off in Bali with Bianca and never try again. He's like still pushing for some reason. He still wants to be the king. He keeps saying, I'm still the king, I'm the king. He wants to be on top. I don't think he's ready to retire.
An addictive personality.
Anytime soon.
And he's
how many times do I have to say this? He's got an addictive personality. He wants to be on stage. He wants to be adored. He gets a high from it. Okay. He gets a high from sex. He gets a high from everything. So, but then he has lows because he's potentially autistic or has manic depression.
Doesn't do anything but throw gasoline on the very thing he thinks. Attention doesn't work. Connection works. Attention to get love never has worked.
It has worked on me sometimes.
No. You think it might. That's why we seek that high. But attention never satiates a person. If the attention you're receiving is pure-hearted,
right,
you're picking up the connection from the pure heart.
Right.
Not just unnecessary attention.
Oh, God, no. Or you'd be dancing naked on a coffin on Easter Sunday, honey.
Right.
You don't want to be doing that. Well, you could pull it off. You're real cute.
Nope. Don't have Bianca's body. That's for sure. Got to give her credit for that. Well, don't think she works out, but has a perfect body.
I would love to show off my body, but I'm not going to walk on a red carpet with my tits hanging out next to my husband.
The Life Path 5. I think she just has such a good body because they're traveling all the time. Most women that travel retain water. I don't think she's been bloated ever. I've never seen Bianca bloated. She always looks amazing.
She works out.
I don't think she has time to work out. I think she just has a great physique. Yeah. I don't know.
I think she does it the right way, like yoga, tai chi, qigong, stretching, sex.
Oh yeah, she does a lot of stretching. Yeah. She's very graceful.
Pilates,
sex with many people, apparently. He writes about it.
It's yay ladies, Kaleb, yay ladies.
Listen, I don't know a lot about this couple. I haven't really followed this, and I know that I appreciate that you have this, you're able to come in as our expert today.
And I don't know what's going on. And I've experienced it firsthand. And I still don't. He's like the most confusing person I've ever met in my life.
We can all agree that he needs to ground himself. He needs to find his power with the good parts of Kanye and maybe take a look at his addictions and become more aware of how he's affecting other people. And because we're the ones that are suffering from it. We're the ones that are reacting to it. It gives me anxiety that I don't need in my daily life. I want to take my granddaughter to the Grammys. I want to be on the red carpet and bring my granddaughter with me. I can go anytime I want. I would love to go, and I want to go next year.
What did Drew think of the whole thing?
Well, he knows Kanye. He's met him before. He understands he has medical issues and stuff too. But and he agrees with everything that I mentioned today. So I'm not calling him out. Like, I don't want to, get in trouble for talking about him.
If I post this episode to my fans, Susan will get attacked so badly, but then all of her fans will agree with her.
I'm not saying
that's the duality of him.
He's not a bad person. Yeah. Addicts are fun, great people. They're fun people. I come from a family of addicts. I know, but it's just that your brain goes there, and whatever he was doing, I feel like he was there, and I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, and I don't really care to know, but it is a symptom of a bigger problem. So I worry about him, and I worry about his family, and also everybody that he has affected by this. Personally, I don't really want to talk about it again, but I do want people to understand that when I see stuff like that, I don't like to see music get ruined over stuff like this, like attention grabbers. I mean, he's done this a million times, and for some reason, they just keep letting him come back. So, but he needs to have a little time off to figure this out. He won't, but
he took 2 years off. I'm happy he's back. I'm like, at least I don't even care what he's doing, because it was so boring when he's quiet. It's so boring.
Well, I called Green Girl. I was like, on the heels of this whole Sean Pitty, Puffy, whatever Diddy Combs situation, which I just happened to watch like last week, so it was kind of on my mind. I was like, we don't see that this is happening again. Like, we're not aware of this. It kind of makes it look like she's doing things, not against her will at this time, but it could turn into something against her will. I'm not sure that the marriage is going to last very long. I don't know what how their relationship really is. And
a lot of the lawsuits describe a lot of the behavior that's happening, but no one's reading lawsuits. There's a lot of kinky, freaky stuff happening in these lawsuits.
As long as it's not illegal. I mean, what they did was illegal. Somebody could throw them in jail. It's like $1,000 fine. They could give a shit.
And then the second fine is 6 months. That lady said on the Daily Mail.
Yeah. So, anyways, I guess he was caught getting a blowjob in
the industry benefits. The more outrageous, the more clicks I'm getting, the more clicks Daily Mail is getting, the more clicks Don Lemon's getting. Everybody benefits from his outlandish activity. When he's quiet, they don't like it because he's not posting content.
I looked at Don Lemon. I did see that thing he posted that, he didn't have a ticket and he wasn't supposed to be there. And then he had to recant it, and then he had to apologize to Kanye.
And then he called him
and it was like,
I can't say that word.
Who gives a shit? Okay, Don, really? This is what you're doing now for a living? Like, who gives a shit? But
it's see, if I posted that clip, the fans would love it.
We all do.
During the pandemic, I was yelling at the TV like my drunk father when he was talking about COVID-19 and had no idea what he was talking about. I was just yelling out. My whole family was living here in the house, and they're like, "Mom, stop it! Stop yelling at the TV. You sound like Grandpa Denny." Like, I was just so mad. Like, did you hear what he just said? I can't believe you just said that. Oh my God! And I started
Did you
yelling
see Ye posted a photo of Don Lemon and called him a KOON?
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and then Don loved it. Don's made 3 videos since. Like, Don's loving the attention to the point where Don's fans are just like, Don, give it up already. Like, Don's loving it. He was like, wear that MAGA hat a little tighter, Ye, like Kanye, because he doesn't want to call him Ye. Mm-hmm. Ye asked him to call him Ye, but he doesn't want to. He only wants to call him. Yeah, so Don Lemon's loving the attention.
They're all in bed together, whatever. It's just like, I only can take about 10 minutes of it, but I do want to address that addiction it does exist in the United States. 10% of the country has it. And I think this whole sex addiction thing is probably getting worse now than actual, drug addiction or alcohol or whatever. I think because of the phenomenon of the iPhone and porn, a lot of people have sex addiction now.
But a lot of Gen Z isn't even having sex,
and they're
which
trying
is weird.
to be the same as these porn actresses or whatever. And this reminded me of a porn. This is all.
Yeah, it's weirdly desensitizing people that either people are having too much sex or they're not having sex at all.
By design.
Yeah, like Gen Z is not having sex. There's been studies done. They are not interested in sex. Don't know why.
because
other people are having more
because they're
sex.
traumatized by porn.
Possibly.
That's because there's no connection in. Well, yeah, that's true too.
I would
Kaleb.
rather watch porn than have sex because it's like
Right.
there's no vulnerability.
I mean, I'm not putting down porn. Porn's great, but
Because I'm an alien, so I can't really
but
have
if you
sex.
have an addiction to porn, that's not good. And if you start acting out
Well,
like you
Ye
are
has
a porn
talked
star,
about his
that's not
addiction
good.
multiple times. He said he had a porn addiction. That's why when he launched Yeezy Porn, coming soon, spelled Cumming,
Well, see,
fans
he's
freaked
got
out.
to work on that because he's taken it to the streets, and it's not good.
Well, a lot of people are saying that they're kind of like fetishizing their own kinks and displaying their kinks in the public eye. That's what people have a problem with.
What?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, don't know.
With her being naked.
Listen, I don't want to know if a helicopter pilot is trans or a lesbian or a man or a woman. Or I don't care about that. Just be the best at what you are. I don't want to even know. I don't want to know who you sleep with and what you do when you're doing it. I don't care. Like nobody wants to know my sex life. Do you want to hear it right now? Let me talk
Listen,
about
your
it.
ratings just
Everybody
went
go,
right up.
oh God, no.
Yeah, I think
no."
people actually do want to hear about
Yes,
it.
they do.
Well,
I
then
think
go
that-
watch Dr. Drew After Dark. There
Yeah,
but be that as it may, I think that we just have to address that there is a problem here. And
Also, let's be real. Susan and Drew are a sexually active couple, and they are not acting like Bianca and Ye on the red
No.
carpet.
I mean, I have to be careful what I wear on the red carpet. You know, I mean, I have some stuff that's revealing, but I have to know the crowd. You know, work the crowd. I want to make sure that I have, you know, not too much showing. or
I think the
whatever.
Grammys is just so fake. I think every organization just has to be burnt to the ground. That's where I'm at.
It's on its way.
That's why I was kind of pro Ye, because I like that he pissed on the Grammy. I don't want to see him trying to be in the hands of these masters anymore. I like that he's trying to be independent and do his own thing. I just wish he had a better team to help him take down the industry.
And could get the message out there in a way that's a little more clear.
Because it's confusing people.
I'm confused and
And
Makeda
Satan is the agent of confusion. So then you have to think about that.
in chaos.
And chaos. And those are the two things that Ye does. But I also feel confused and chaotic all the time. And I met a witch the other day. And she said that laughter is the cure to any negativity. And I said, well, what about too much laughter? And she said, then you have chaos. And I thought everything in my life makes sense. Too much laughter creates mania and chaos. And think about all these clowns in a room. It's chaotic.
Listen, let me tell you, Green Girl. Let me do a little psychic read on you. Okay, so you're an 8, right? Born on an 8 day.
9 day, 8 life path.
8 life path. Okay, so 9 is highly spiritual. Old endings and new beginnings. Endings and new beginnings. You're not supposed to be in one place for very long.
I always
but
quit jobs and then they're like, you can't leave. I tried quitting 3 jobs today and they're like, nope.
You're not supposed to
Don't quit here.
leave it prematurely. You're supposed to have a beginning, middle, and end. And then when you do leave it, you're on a different level, a higher level. That's how you're supposed to do it as a 9. The 8, whenever it's like high or low, but that little band that marries it together like this is what you want to strive for as a 9 who is an 8. But here's what I was going to tell you, and I got sidetracked listening to myself. It was terrible. I got shipmentized just hearing
Don't
you
look
talk.
at yourself.
Yeah, don't do that. Go to the line.
I'm lucky I can't see anything really. That's
Yes,
why
I had to look at the Green Girl alien after that sex and making love comment because I'm like, is there an alien probe going on here? So you
got 2 minutes. We have a hard out.
okay. Watch what you say because you will say, I'm chaotic, I'm not happy, I'm not this, I'm not that. And you're actually programming yourself as a very high master 9 with an 8
Oh,
energy,
like I'm manifesting things into existence.
left and right and center frequently.
What's that? So what am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to be like, I'm cute, I'm in alignment, my life works
Oh,
very,
the witch
very
told me the
well.
same thing. She goes, why are you saying you're ugly in the mirror? I go, because I look fucking ugly. That's why. And then she's like, you're going to turn even uglier the more you say it in the mirror.
I love your
No,
witch.
you're not.
Isn't that
She's
funny?
not- yeah, no, but it's true.
She's a cute little green girl.
I also wonder because my thoughts are so fleeting though if it doesn't really matter because in the next minute I might be like, I'm so hot. And then I shift back into that frequency.
Boom, boom.
8.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.
You want to appreciate, not defecate. Sorry, I put that
Yeah.
makes sense. Oh my God.
Well, I think this was an interesting episode.
Yeah, we did do a weird juxtaposition of topics today, and
Oh my God, you did.
once again, I want to remind everybody how much my heart and my feelings go out to the families of the victims of the plane crash. And if there was somebody on there that was a target, I hope, their families are okay too, as well as the pilots that were potentially on the helicopter. And we will get to the bottom of it. But in the meantime, we're going to have to put up with Kanye for hopefully a long time. I don't wish any ill will to him. I hope that he and his family are happy and he can work out all the details. But I do want to just also mention that this is a crazy time, and we need to all ground ourselves and find some kind of inner peace within ourselves and keep our jobs and keep reporting. I mean, it's good to hear all these things and all these feelings. I like to hear the different topics and the points of views, but everything on here is solely for entertainment purposes. Nothing is necessarily endorsed by Dr. Drew himself. I hear all sides, and everybody's curious about things in the universe. So I want to just say thank you to everybody who brought their feelings and their thoughts and their emotions and their spiritual powers and their educated guesses to the table today. And if you're out there in the audience still, and we really appreciate it, we had a pretty good audience today, share it if you care. And also, be sure to check out our sponsors and drdrew.com/sponsors and be a part of the chat next time too. We really appreciate you guys all coming in, calling out with Susan Pinsky and Eddie. Where can we find you if we want a psychic reading?
EddieConnor.com.
Okay, go to EddieConnor.com. He's easy to find. And Green Girl, where can we find you?
You can find Green Girl on @Kanye's Posts, KANYESPOSTS. We are archiving all of his posts as he deletes them. I caught one at 10 seconds last night, and he deleted it within 30. So if you guys want to see all of the chaos, please follow that account. We're about to hit 200,000.
Wow, Kanye's
We grew
post.
5,000 in one day the other day because of all of his posting and deleting.
Well, I mean, it brought you good things, so I can always say that's a good thing. And
there's an energy, whether it's positive or negative. There's
Right.
an energy happening when he's active.
in the rock industry, they used to say sometimes bad publicity is good publicity. So, but I do want everybody to protect your kids from crazy stuff on the internet. It's not necessary to give them all an iPhone when they're 9 years old. Take care of yourselves, take care of your family, and protect yourself. But the next show you want to watch today is Ask Dr. Drew, coming up at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, with the one and only Dr. Drew Pinsky. Are we going to raid that, Kaleb? Are we going to have a raiding party over here on the Rumble Rants? Okay, so you can go over to, I guess, I don't know how that works, but you can go over there and click on the link, and as soon as it becomes available, it'll pop up on your phone. And also we'll be on YouTube and X and at Dr. Drew. And thank you, Kaleb Nation, for your expertise in technology and bringing this show live. Robin Delano, my producer, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Susan. Robin, do you think you could get a photo of us before I take this stupid mask off?
The Wellness Company knows that taking charge of your family's healthcare is a top priority, and that is why they are constantly innovating to deliver the products and services to help you be rationally ready for an emergency. They've added a medical kit for kids to treat over 20 childhood illnesses: nausea, vomiting, allergies, asthma, bioterror, God forbid, croup ear infections, lice, and more. And you can also order the kids kit with an EpiPen. Carefully sourced, great price. If there's a risk of anaphylaxis for your kids, you want that EpiPen. That can be in all kits, each customized for a different purpose. It comes, of course, with a telemedicine consultation and a guidebook, and you can replenish the meds up to 2 years after the date of purchase. So go to drdrew.com/2WC for 10% off any medical emergency kit or supplements. That is drdrew.com/TWC.